Another day, another Monday, another Red Sox loss in the same mind-numbingly fashion. Welcome to the Locked On Red Sox podcast. Thank you for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen of every single day. I am your host at NESN's Lauren Campbell. I am flying solo today. Jake Ignazuski, Massachusetts Pirates team insider, is enjoying the beautiful weather in San Diego with the Pirates as they continue their season. They are on the road for the next 2 weeks, but Jake will be joining us later this week, so do not worry. I am here to talk about another Red Sox loss. Now, they lost to the White Sox, on Sunday 3-2. The White Sox swept them. So we're going to break down that game and how the offense kind of imploded once again. Tanner Houck had to get a spot start due to Michael Wacha going on the IL. We're going to look into Chaim Bloom's comments on why Triston Casas has not been called up yet. And we're going to look at the series against the Braves that will be happening on Tuesday. And of course, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, and that is Trevor Story. So let's jump right into it.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This episode is brought to you today by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. That's BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, so the Red Sox lost on Sunday, on Mother's Day, 3-2 to the White Sox at Fenway Park. They're swept once again. They now have lost 5 straight games. That's not good for a team that should be winning. They should be winning these games. This offense is so much better than what it shows. And the Red Sox, this is a bit concerning. The Red Sox have not won a series since April 13th when they took 2 out of 3 from the Tigers. And that seems like a lifetime ago at this point. I just feel like this Red Sox team has so much negativity around it because they're losing every single game in the same fashion. And it's unbelievably frustrating. So they, like I said, they lost 3-2. They are 2-8 in their last 10, and they are 2.5 games back of the Baltimore Orioles in the AL East. So the AL East, the Orioles are in 4th place in the AL East. The Red Sox are below them. And this is something that at the beginning of the season was not supposed to happen. We've talked about this, that it was the pitching that was supposed to be the problem. The starters look fine. The bullpen, check out Sunday's episode. I ranted once again about the bullpen, but this offense is just absolutely letting this Red Sox team down. Kiké Hernández was 0 for 3 on Sunday. Trevor Story was 0 for 4. Bobby Dalbec 0 for 2. And according to Red Sox stats on Twitter, the Red Sox are averaging 2.65 runs per game over their last 20 games. They put up 2 runs or less in 12 of those games. So, what more can we say about this offense? What more can we say that they're struggling, that these bats need to wake up, that there needs to be some sort of rejuvenation around this team? And I said in the beginning, the elephant in the room is Trevor Story. So he signs that big money deal just before spring training or just before the regular season, and he has struck out a lot this season. And old friend of the pod, my former co-host Jason Mastrodonato, had this startling tweet that said, after Trevor Story struck out again, he's 1 for 12 with 6 strikeouts in the series. He entered Sunday with a 32% strikeout rate, which is 9th worst among 174 qualified players. Woof, to put it politely. And he is still batting at the top of that Red Sox order. But do you move him down? Will that help? Will that help if you put Bobby Dalbec in the top of the order? Will it help if you put JBJ in top of that order? Christian Vasquez, Kevin Plawecki, Christian Arroyo, plug and play, whoever you want. Is it worth moving Trevor Story down? I don't really know. What I do know is that something desperately desperately needs to change. And after the game, Alex Cora is usually a very calm, cool, and collected person. It's very rare when he loses his cool during a press conference. That was not the case today. He still is an optimistic guy, and he tries to make light of things, and he knows that his team is not playing well right now. And he said after the game, we have to make adjustments. It's an adjustment game. Probably I'll shave Monday. It might be an adjustment. I don't think hitting or anything is about shaving, but hey, people are asking for that. And no sport, in my mind, no sport is more influenced by superstition than baseball. Baseball is a very superstitious sport. Admittedly, I'm superstitious when it comes to certain things, especially in the playoffs. If you're wearing certain things, you have to wear a hat a certain way, sit on the couch in a certain order. It's very superstitious. And it's not surprising that Cora is about to try to shave his beard. And I jokingly said on the beginning of the Locked On Red Sox podcast before the season started that if the Red Sox were to get swept in the first series, Alex Cora had to shave his beard. And now, listen, I'm willing to try anything to get this team going. And if him shaving his beard somehow turns into a nice little run here for the Red Sox, I'm all for it. If it means Trevor Story turning himself around, I'm all for it. Now, do we really think that Alex Cora shaving his beard is the answer to this offense? Probably not. I don't really believe that. But again, like I said, willing to try anything here, especially with the Red Sox losing another game, another series, and just looking overall lost. And another aspect of this offense is Bobby Dalbec. And if All Takes Exposed is listening, I know I said that Bobby Dalbec would lead the team in home runs. I look silly, fully admit that. And people have been calling for Triston Casas to be recalled. He hit a bit of a slump recently with AAA Worcester. He seemed to kind of figure it out, and he's going to be a stud. We know this. There's so much hype around this guy. He's an incredible athlete. I love watching him play. And Chaim Bloom was speaking to reporters, and naturally he was asked about Casas and why the hell haven't the Red Sox recalled him yet with the struggles that Bobby Dalbec has been going through. And he told reporters it's obviously something we keep a very close eye on. We do with everybody there, but certainly him with what he's capable of, what his ceiling is. I point to a couple of things. One is that he has a really interesting and great developmental last year. But just because of how it was broken up with the Olympics, moving levels, he wasn't necessarily in one place for long enough to really have the league make a lot of adjustments to him, and then for him having to adjust in return. And one of the things about the game today, more than at any point ever, certainly longer than I've been in it, is when you get to the major leagues, there is already a book on you. We have a lot of information, and you will get attacked the way you should be attacked from pitch one. So yes, it makes sense from a standpoint like that. You certainly do not want to rush a prospect, especially one of your top prospects, into the major leagues. Maybe he struggles to start, and it's probably going to happen. We saw it happen with Jarren Duran last year. People were begging for Jarren Duran to get recalled. He doesn't really do all that well, and everyone's like, well, quick, send him back right now. And that's where he is. And now people are like, maybe he can jumpstart the offense. And he got recalled for Kiké Hernández, ended up getting optioned back because Kiké Hernández came back into the lineup, which was always the plan. But when it comes to Casas, you want to make sure he is 100% ready for MLB. I know how impatient fans can be. I am one of those people growing incredibly impatient with Bobby Dalbec. I understand. I 100% am with you, but I want Triston Casas to be 100% ready, to be 100% confident in his ability to play at the big league level. It is incredibly important not to throw any kind of wrench into his development, into his confidence, because eventually, and probably sooner rather than later, first base is going to be his. Coming up in the second segment of the Locked On Red Sox podcast, we are going to talk about the pitching because Michael Wacha, who was arguably the Red Sox best starter, landed on the IL Sunday after getting scratched from his start. But first, I want to tell you about BetOnline because BetOnline.net is your number one source for all of your betting stats and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs and Major League Baseball. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sporting wagering information, from live betting, maybe you got lucky with the Kentucky Derby over the weekend, to all the playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in the action. That's BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast. Recaps of MLB games with analysis from our local experts, taking fans through the season like no other network. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So things just seem to go from bad to worse for the Red Sox on Sunday. Michael Wacha, who was pitched brilliantly for the Red Sox this season, was scratched from his start, and Tanner Houck had to make the start. Alex Cora said, thankfully, Wacha's MRI came back clean. He's just dealing with a little bit of side soreness. And then all of a sudden, the Red Sox announced that he was placed on the IL. Certainly not ideal because he has a 138 ERA. He's responsible for 3 of the Red Sox 10 wins on this season. And he is somebody who's been a bright spot on this team who doesn't have a lot of bright spots. And with the starting pitchers pitching well, but the bullpen being a bit shaky, to be polite, you don't really have a trusted person to slot in there to make a spot start. So Tanner Houck got the call today. He had 3 earned runs on 4 hits over 2 2/3 innings. He's truly struggled to kind of find a groove. He's truly struggled to find his way as a starting pitcher. So hopefully he can try to get into a groove here. It's probably going to jumble things a little bit because on Saturday, Alex Cora mentioned that Garrett Whitlock would move to the starting rotation and Tanner Houck would go into the bullpen to play a similar role Whitlock did while he was in the bullpen. And now all of a sudden Tanner Houck is getting called to start. So hopefully this doesn't impact Tanner Houck too much. Wish you got more out of him. Wish you didn't give up as many runs, kind of limited the hits, but things just are not going in any favor for the Red Sox right now. And hopefully Michael Wacha, it's just a 15 days and he's able to come back with no setback. He can come back and pick up right where he left off, because the Red Sox don't need any more blows to this team. And if the offense is already struggling, you could look to the starting pitching and be like, okay, I can be excited about that. But with Michael Wacha on the IL now, it's like, okay, things could be better. The Red Sox do have a much needed day off Monday before traveling to Atlanta to take on the Braves, who just recently welcomed back Ronald Acuna Jr. and who's already hitting home runs left and right. He did tear his ACL last year, so he missed a lot of last year, the postseason exciting run, the World Series. So it's exciting to watch a player like Acuna's caliber. Not excited to see what kind of damage he will do against a Red Sox pitching staff that just can't seem to get it together. The bullpen, the starters have been fine, but the bullpen cannot be trusted. So, I mean, it's always a good time to get back on track, right? But they do have a 14-6 record going into Monday. They are 6 games behind the 20-10 New York Mets for first place. There's certainly no Boston Red Sox through the first 30 games of the season, but I'm hoping that the Red Sox can salvage a win. We went from thinking two out of 3 would be okay to, please, for the love of God, just win 1 game. I think fans would start to be happy with just 1 win, because now they're clinging to whatever optimism is left right now out of this fan base, because it's ugly watching this team. It's hard watching this team. They have a 1-run lead, a 2-run lead. You don't feel comfortable with that going into the top half or the opponent's half of the inning. And you certainly don't feel comfortable watching Matt Barnes come out of the bullpen, Jake Diekman, Sarah Mora. I could go on and on and on, but I will spare you because we have gone on and on and on in other previous episodes of Locked On Red Sox. Now, I don't really know what the answer is here, because we've exhausted that the Red Sox offense is better than what it shows. We've exhausted that the starting pitching has been fine. The bullpen just needs to get it together. Matt Barnes doesn't show any signs of getting it together. Jake Diekman cannot be trusted. My heart drops into my stomach every time I see him come into a game. It's just, I don't know what the Red Sox do from here. And that's not my job to figure out what they do. I don't want to be in that position, but they have to do something. And I think they have to do something before this month is over, whether that's a recall, whether that's a major shakeup in the lineup, a trade, something. Jake always preaches, in Chaim we trust. And I think that trust is, especially with me and especially with other Red Sox fans, is starting to dwindle because he needs to be held accountable for just not getting the bullpen help it needed. You can't really do too much about the lineup right now because, like I've mentioned, it should be better than what it's been, but he needs to do something. Chaim Bloom needs to go out. He needs to get some help for this team because this is going to be a very, very long season if this is how the Red Sox are going to play for 162 games. That's going to be absolutely brutal for this fan base, especially for a team that just went to the ALCS last year. We're 2 games away from going to the World Series. So, Chaim, if you want us to continue to put our trust into you, you're going to need to do something to kind of build that trust back up. Coming up in our third and final segment of this lovely Monday episode of the Locked On Red Sox podcast, I'm going to end this on a mental health minute, as we always do. But first, this episode is brought to you by Built Bar. Summer is coming, and with summer, you're going to need some food on the go. And Built Bars are the perfect snack to take with you on your family vacations. Throw them in your bags, in your kids' backpacks. Make sure that everyone has a bar so you are fueled for all of your summer adventures. The best part about Built Bars, they're healthy and they're delicious. So there's no more sacrificing delicious food for health because with Built Bar, you can have both. And all Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate, including the Built Bar Puffs. We are going crazy here at Locked On about the Puffs because they come in crazy flavors like banana cream pie and even churro. Who does not want a protein bar that tastes like a churro? And they're only about 140 calories. If that's not enough flavor for you, then you might want to try the mixed box because mixed boxes come with 12 flavors of bars and the puffs. There is a flavor for absolutely everyone. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Head on over to Built.com. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off your order. Promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. So as we always do here on Locked On Red Sox, we're going to end this show with the mental health minute. And it's a new week. And I feel like I say that every Monday, but it's a new week. It's going to be beautiful here in Boston this week. And don't let the Red Sox impact your mental health this week. We are choosing self-care. We are choosing happiness. We are choosing time outside. If the Red Sox are going to spike your blood pressure, bring you more stress, just watch playoff hockey because what doesn't raise your blood pressure like playoff hockey? No, I'm totally kidding. But honestly, sports are supposed to be fun. And I love watching them, even when the Red Sox are driving me nuts, even when they are tough to watch. I still tune in every single night because I love this team. I've loved this team for most of my life. It's also my job professionally to cover this team. And every day, I genuinely love coming on this podcast to talk to you about the Red Sox, to complain to you about the Red Sox, and just share the annoyances in the common, like what is going on with this team? What can we do? But all we can do as fans is just hope and pray this team figures it out because they're supposed to be better. And I said this last week, but I'm going to say it again. We are throwing it into the universe that we are going to have a good week as Red Sox fans. The Red Sox are going to get it together. They're going to turn this season around. They just have to. There's no choice now. Like I said, throwing it into the universe. Hopefully they can get some wins against Atlanta, get some wins against the Rangers before welcoming the Astros to Fenway Park. But let's end the show there. Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Red Sox and making it your first listen of every single day. Rate, review, and subscribe to Locked On Red Sox right here on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast is where you can find us. Follow us on Twitter at LO_Red Sox, Jake at Jake Iggy, and me at Lauren, 3 laws, Lauren with 4 R's. And be sure to check out all the other Locked On shows across the network. Locked On Braves, Locked On Astros, Locked On Rangers. They're all doing a great job. No matter how good or bad our teams are, we are always here bringing you the best coverage we can. And now that you've made Locked On Red Sox your first listen, head on over to Locked On MLB to make it your second listen. Friend of the pod, Paul Francis Sullivan, but please call him Sully, takes you through his unique perspectives of major leaguers, both past and present. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. Have a great Monday. We'll be back later this week. Let's go Red Sox.